Costa Rica. Is it a safe country to visit or to relocate to? It is, but that doesn't mean you should let your guard down. We asked residents that have been living in the country for different periods of time if they felt safe in Costa Rica and to share their opinions with you. If you love Costa Rica or want to keep learning about this amazing country, click the subscribe button and be sure to look for the app InCostaRica in your app store.
Yes, it's absolutely the safest country in Latin America, firstly, but it's also, it is a safe country. The problem that we have here is people doing silly things, let's just say. So people will leave their stuff on the beach and then they'll go for a swim for an hour and then they'll be surprised when they get back and their stuff isn't there anymore. People are always going to be opportunistic anywhere. And there is crime here, but I feel much safer here than I would in London, for example.
Very safe. When I lived in Southern California, I had a concealed carry permit. I'm very comfortable around firearms. They don't bother me at all. I've trained my daughters and my wife. They're comfortable with them. And living here in Costa Rica as a citizen or as a resident, you can go down to any gun shop here and buy a gun. Not a problem at all. Okay, same selection of guns you would get in the United States or Canada at a goods gun store. Having said that, when I lived in Southern California, I was a bit of a collector. I probably had too many guns. I had over 30 long-hand handguns. Here in Costa Rica, I've been here 20 years. I have not found a reason to buy a handgun at all. Okay, and I go everywhere in the country.
I think it is, yeah. Everything is relative, obviously, but in general, I don't see a lot of issues. There'll always be petty crime, stuff that happens all over the world, but I feel pretty safe, I'd say.
In my opinion, it is safe. I know that theft happens in Costa Rica, and I always knew that. So you just have to be smart about your valuables. Don't flaunt things around. I feel very safe. We've been living in gated communities, so that's one thing. But in my previous trips, when I was without kids, it was well known, on the beach towns before there was any police there. If you have a really expensive camera and people see that, you might get it stolen. And so theft, it happens. But in terms of safety, I do feel safe. And you have to act safe. Maybe as a woman, I wouldn't walk the beach at night alone in a very popular beach town. Maybe that would make me uncomfortable. I wouldn't necessarily want to be hassled, but I always feel safe in Costa Rica.
Yes. Again, I've been here for almost 2 years. Sure, there's crime. There's crime in any part of the world. There is penny, what do you call it? Penniless crime? Penny crimes here. You're going to have the break-in. Petty crime? Yeah. You're going to have, a break-in or this or that or, but just like anywhere, again, it can happen in where I used to live in Kelowna. After the bar scene lets out, you're going to have, the odd fight, the odd stabbing, unfortunately. But as far as safety, I think it's also, again, matter of choice and making wise choices. Just like, if my 20-year-old daughter came down, I just like I would tell her at home in Canada, don't walk home out of the bar by yourself. I say the same thing, don't walk out down by the beach by yourself at 2 a.m. Don't put yourself in any kind of position and, that you're vulnerable. Just make wise choices. Just like anywhere in the world. I would say that to anywhere.
Well, I would say it's safer than maybe the neighboring countries in Central America. But is it completely safe? Maybe not. No, I think you have chances of getting, mugged, especially if you're out here in the big cities during night.
I believe so, yeah. But besides from the petty theft that I think that you'll get anywhere, I just had my car broken into in San Diego because I left something in there. If you're mindful about locking up your cars and not being silly about leaving things, then you're totally safe. Yep.
Yes, very much so. I'd like anywhere, any major cities, it's probably not a good idea to walk through downtown at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning by yourself or even with a few friends. But I'd say absolutely yes, it's very safe. It's probably much safer than a lot of suburban towns in the United States.
Yes and no. Costa Rica is a place where there's a high level of community here. So if you're in the community and you are rooted, I think it's a lot safer, right? So if you're somebody that's coming in from the outside and just kind of new to an area, I think you're a little bit more vulnerable, right? So it's just like there's that perception of outsiders. So they're like, Costa Ricans are really friendly and compassionate, but they also hold their family really close, which means that anybody outside of the family is a foreigner in a way, right? So it takes a while to enter that family, whether it's like the community that's your family, right? So there's a few things that you have to be careful about down here that aren't unknowns in any place that you could find yourself. But I mean, there is a level of crime down here that you have to be aware of. Petty theft has always been an issue, so you have to like just have your guard up a little bit. There's still tons of places in Costa Rica that I would not go out at night by myself, for sure. And that is different to the way that I feel about being in many places in the States. So yeah, I think it's all relative, right? So it's like comparing any city anywhere to a city in Costa Rica. So I think city life, you have to have a higher guard up, right? And just keep your wits about you. But in smaller towns, I think it's easier to feel more safe and secure.
Generally, I feel quite safe, but then again, I'm a man, and I think it changes for women. And I know a lot of women have felt in danger on the streets.
Well, like I said, when you come there to keep your just be really hyper aware at first, and then I think after you've done that for a while, you can feel very safe.
Depends on where you are. It all depends where you are. I mean, if you tell me, yeah, I'm gonna walk at 6 p.m. In center of San Jose, then I would say no way, you know. But if you tell me 6 p.m. here where I am, then yes. So it all depends. Though you always have to be, how I said at the beginning, like 3 steps ahead, you know, because you can get robbed wherever you are. Like it doesn't matter wherever you are, in the beach, wherever. But there are places where it's like a little bit more red, you know, like more dangerous than others.
It depends on where you go and how you look at it. If you're not cautious, just like anywhere else, you know, there's people out there watching you. And because it is a poor country and people here that live here, that are from here, are raised in that poverty, sometimes they want something that you have. So, you know, you just got to keep an eye on that. If you go to the ghettos and you start hanging out and doing drugs and hanging out with the narcos, you know, obviously it's going to be a little, you know, dangerous. But as far as a country and driving around and doing stuff, I mean, the people here love expats because it pays their bills. So they're not out to get you. They might want your passport and they might want the colones in your pocket, but they're not out to hurt you. They just don't have it, so they want it. But the country itself, all in all, is not a scary country. It's not dangerous. Just don't go to the ghetto.
Yes, I say that with a caveat, but yes, it is safe. I think it's generally very safe to walk around, especially during the day. I think as a single woman, you have a whole different set of rules that you have to abide by, which is frustrating, if I'm honest. But most of the crime is not violent in nature. It's mostly having to do with ripping off someone that looks like a tourist. So if you do look like a tourist, like I will always look like a tourist just because I am not Costa Rican, you do have to be mindful of the way that you carry yourself, how much stuff that you're carrying, not flashing around money or expensive things like cameras. But yes, overall it is safe. And it really does depend also where you are. Like anywhere.
I would say yes. Of course. I mean, of course, it depends where you live. But yes, I would say it is safe compared with other places. to other places.
I mean, I didn't have any problems so far since I'm here, so I would say yes, but there is criminality or unsafe places all over the world. So if, in that opinion, I would recommend people not to walk alone when it's dark, or maybe to take an Uber or a taxi if they have to go somewhere, and not go for people where you know that there could be criminality.
Yes. I mean, everywhere has their little spurts of crime. In 11 months, I've never seen anything. I haven't even heard of anything happening in this area. I mean, there's like a few robberies, like up in the mountains, but that's it. I feel safer here sometimes than I did in Vancouver.
Yes and no. So anywhere you go in the world, right, you have to be very careful. But I would say like more of like the city areas. So like, let's say San Jose, right? Because I did live there. I would say it's not very safe. You have to be very careful all the time, especially with your belongings. And like you can't really walk in the street in the night like by yourself, right? But if you do, just be careful. Don't take a lot of money. Don't take your phone. Don't take your laptop, etc. Right? Just be very careful. Be very aware. But here in Samara, yes, very safe, extremely safe.
I think it is safe. I think it's like everywhere in the world, you have to use your common sense. But I do think it's a safe country, especially if you're living outside of the city. But I think most of the cities are similar in the world. Like you have to just use your common sense, not walk around with your huge golden watch, and just don't attract it, and just use your common sense, and then you'll be perfectly fine.
Check out the full playlist as we ask residents some of the most common questions about Costa Rica. In the top right corner, there's a live poll to share your opinion with everyone. Don't forget to subscribe and try the InCostaRica app.